Hello and welcome back to Talking Giants, presented by the Fanatics Sportsbook. It is May 11th, 2026. Hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. I hope you let your mother know, or the mother figure in your life, that they are loved and they are appreciated. If you're a mother that's listening to this, I love and I appreciate you, and I want you to know that. Hope you had a great day. I always find it to be so kind of cool and kind of wild, the amount of wives, girlfriends, mothers that listen to the show if they're on a road trip. Like I probably don't want to hear my voice as much as sometimes they have to hear my voice. Know that you're loved and appreciated. Hope you had a good day. We had Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post on. You know and love Ryan Dunleavy. Touched on a ton of things in like our 46-minute conversation. Of course, talked about the draft class. Giants rookie minicamp was this weekend. It was Friday and Saturday. The media had access on Saturday, plus they got a chance to talk to Brandon Brown, John Harbaugh, and some members of the 2026 draft class as well. So touched on a ton. And even at the end, we talked about Malik Nabers, the front office. There's been like no changes in the front office, not even just Joe Schoen, but there's been no changes as of yet, like significant changes in the scouting department. Even touched on that. Arvell Reese's long-term position, how the secondary lineup-wise could shake out. We found the biggest wild card in the Giants secondary, that being Darius Washington. Talked about a little bit about that. And it was a good time. The D tackle room, things like that. So always have a lot of fun with Ryan Dunleavy. Before I throw it over to Ryan Dunleavy, there is something that I want to talk about at the top, because I didn't actually get a chance to watch the full 18-minute presser that Brandon Brown did before I recorded with Ryan Dunleavy. I was in Atlantic City on Saturday, so I was trying to jam a bunch of different things. You'll hear me talk about that. I was trying to jam like a bunch of different things in on Saturday, including that interview. But on Sunday, I finally sat down, got a chance to watch it, and I cannot emphasize enough just how insightful Brandon Brown is, and that he is like a joy, and it's a treat to watch him talk about the team. Because what he'll actually do is he'll actually talk about people and process and like the why behind things and how things happen, how a player like Colton Hood is selected, and how the scouting department kind of came to that conclusion, and the journey that they took to like select a player like that, and how it starts even like week 0, week 1 of the college football season, and how that went down. Like Bobby Jamison Travis, like I love the insight that like Bobby Jamison Travis, one of the things that makes him tick, and one of the things that makes him go and that pushes him, is that he's like a father of 3. He has like 3 young kids, and like he's working and he's grinding his ass off as a rookie to kind of provide for his family. And Brandon Brown gave that insight on top of other things, which this is what I want to talk about. Like I really appreciated what Brandon Brown had to say, and I wish that I was able to ask Dunleavy this. I really appreciated what Brandon Brown said about John Harbaugh and clarity of his vision and identity. And he spent like a good 6 minutes kind of going in and out of this topic of talking about how John Harbaugh has come in and set a standard, of course, but the vision for this football team and the identity for this football team, Harbaugh has been very, very clear on that, and how that helps the scouting department. So Brown first talked about kind of like building a bully. And even Dunleavy talks at the top of the interview talking about how this draft class, this rookie class, they're physical. They're a big like height, weight-wise. They are a big rookie class. So John Harbaugh and this Giants team, they're trying to build a bully. Harbaugh emphasizes an identity where all players, regardless of their position, possess a pit bull mentality. That's what Brown had to say kind of about this draft class, and also that's what Harbaugh wants. Unified operation. This is the quote that was going all around Twitter and Instagram this past weekend. A unified operation when talking about Harbaugh. Mission over men, prioritizing winning games through low ego collaboration, mutual respect between the coaching staff and the personnel department. Mission over men, low ego collaboration. Is that a little nudge to the previous coaching staff? I don't know. Maybe it is. Evidence-based decision-making. Harbaugh encourages a platform where everyone, regardless of their level in the organization, is empowered to share their perspectives as long as they can provide evidence for their assessments. And we've heard about that too, is that Harbaugh really pushed this specific scouting department and this scouting staff of, we are going to debate on draft prospects. If you think that someone is worth pick 37, pick 105, Malachi Fields we should trade up for in the second round, that's a guy that we should trade up for. If you think that, then you better back it up. and let's have a discussion about it, right? So evidence-based decision-making. Brandon Brown talked about that as well. And I think even alignment. Alignment's probably the biggest thing, too. Brown notes that Harbaugh has provided ultimate clarity on the team's identity, which has created a strong, collaborative environment. So basically, those 6 minutes, like 2 minutes to around 8 minutes, where Brandon Brown was kind of talking loosely about John Harbaugh, and then even going later, he was asked about AI and how that impacts kind of like decision-making, and they use it as a tool. Thought that was really insightful. Really, go check out the Brandon Brown 18-minute press conference that he did. It's on the Giants YouTube channel. I'm sure they put something on podcast apps too. It's definitely on their app too, if you're a fan of that. So we're going to talk to Ryan Dunleavy, but I wanted to talk about that because I thought it was really insightful and actually interesting for once. But before we get to talking to Ryan Dunleavy, I got to talk to you about a sponsor of today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Tushy. You've got a fantasy app tracking every snap, a smart TV for game day, and a group chat going 24/7 since last year's training camp. And I bet you it's been going 24/7 since the draft, talking about how excited they are for this team. I am too. Schedule comes out this week, but you're still wiping with dry paper like nothing's changed. Everything's changing. Come on, Giants fans. You deserve better, at least in the bathroom. And Tushy is a bidet that attaches to your existing toilet. No plumbing needed. 10 minutes to install. Uses warm water instead of toilet paper. Warm water is the key, I will say. I've used some bidets outside of this apartment because remember when I did my first perfect sit, Tushy sent me a free bidet. And I've used some other ones where it's been cold water and then it's just a shock through your freaking system. Warm water Tushy uses. Heated seat, adjustable temperature, built-in air dryer, hands-free cleaner. And once you try it, you're not going back. The upgrade your bathroom has needed for years. Remember, a hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. If you're not Team Tushy, you're not Team Clean. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code TG at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code TG. Thank you, Tushy. And thank you to Ryan Dunleavy. And thank you to you for listening to this. Why don't you give this show a like? Here's Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. All right, welcome back to the show. And this is a guy that you know and love. He is a former award winner on this show and also on another show. Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. You are the first one in, I'm sure, and then last one out in the Giants media room. Yes. We are recording this on a Saturday after Giants minicamp. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
Good. Last one out, not always the first one in. When you have two little kids, hard to be the first one in, but I am the last one out.
Do you know where I'm we're, like I said, we're recording this on a Saturday. I appreciate Ryan for hopping on. When we were trying to set this up, because I'm trying this whole new schedule, releasing episodes on Mondays and Thursdays, they're like, man, Giants rookie minicamp is Saturday. And then you're like, okay, but what are you doing Saturday? Are you going to be available? And I said, yes, I'm free all day. I lied. I'm in a hotel room in Atlantic City right now.
Right. I'm missing my kids' carnival. The things we do for the things we do for the Giants coverage, Justin.
The things we do for this football team that's so wonderful and treats us so well. Giants had their rookie media minicamp on Saturday. They had it Friday too, but the media had access for the first time on Saturday. And obviously, I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreaking to kind of come out of this, but you got a chance to see John Harbaugh run a practice. You got a chance to see this draft class and talk to some of them in person. I think even Brandon Brown was talking a bit too. What were some of your takeaways from the day?
Okay, I'll give you a couple. Tell me when to stop. No music at practice, which allows you to think clearly and write things down. I'm not the practice note taker that some of the other guys are, but I found it much easier. Maybe I'll be able to concentrate more because, I'm sure the idea is for the players to concentrate more. Much quieter atmosphere, much easier to make observations. Two, the guys were huge. Like, I know these aren't the regular Giants, but there was a 410-pound offensive tackle out here. There are a couple 6'8" offensive tackles out here. Arvell Reese is a monster. Bobby Jamison. Travis is every bit of a stout defensive tackle. The idea, Brandon Brown said having two 6'4" inside linebackers, Reese and Tremaine Edmonds will be like having rim protectors. We're in Nick's season right now. It's a very big team. And the rookies are very big, including the draft picks. Even Colton Hood, who's not the biggest guy, made a super physical play to rip the ball away from let me try this one out. I already used it on Art Stapleton. He had Miles Davis. That was the guy's name. He had Miles Davis singing the blues after he ripped the ball away from him and had what would have been, I guess, a pick six if it was, a live scenario. So very physical, very big team, I think, is what I came away from today thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the themes, I think, of like overall the offseason too. And at the end of the day, does it translate to wins and losses? If it translates to wins, we'll talk about how it does. And if it translates to losses, then we'll probably never bring it up again. But even going from, I understand this isn't a one for one scenario, but like a Wan'Dale Robinson and then bringing in an Isaiah Likely, that could be like a big slot. And I think this draft class, just physicality from top to bottom. You even mentioned Colton Hood, not the biggest guy, but just a physical guy, like physicality with size wise. And I think the mentality of these guys too, like that's like a theme. I could see what they're trying to build from an offseason perspective, which I like.
And my number one takeaway from the day is the draft picks did stuff. Like the old joke was Brian Daboll used to say every rookie minicamp, it's like for the guys to get acclimated and find the bathroom. And I'm like, the bathroom's right there. Now go on the field. Like what do we need? And really that was just his way of saying nothing, which is what he liked to do. But as Robert Saleh used to say, it was to avoid injury risk, right? His Saleh was pretty transparent. Harbaugh was like, no, get out there. Like, all the practices you can get. We're not going to waste the practice. So he wanted Arvell Reese to be out there to get used to playing inside linebacker so that when he lines up next to Tremaine Edmonds next week, he knows what he's doing. And even more so, Francis Mawanoa, get in at guard. Like you played tackle at Miami. Go take some guard reps so that your first guard reps aren't next to Jermaine Illuminor. Like go figure it out now. So get comfortable now. So, and sure enough, Francis CC said like, whoa, there's a lot less space in here. So have that observation today when you're next to the Kutztown offensive tackle and not when you're next to Jermaine Illuminor. So the idea that he threw the draft picks into the mix right away, I thought was one of those signs of a new era.
Yeah, so that was probably like I have anything significantly different from previous years. That was probably the thing that stood out the most.
That and the music.
Yeah, so our tweet out, no music. I had down Guy Gilliard, 6'8", 410 pounds. You already brought that up. No music. I put no music in all caps with question marks because I was like, no music.
Now look, it might be harder to do that, Justin, when there's the veterans on the field. Like, I can't imagine a practice without Odell Beckham dancing during it. So so that might be harder when those guys are accustomed to it, but hey, these guys don't know any better. So so like rookie minicamp, no music. Maybe it'll be some music, some not when the veterans are here.
Speaking of which, Odell, him and John Harbaugh talk all the time. They talk 5 times. They talk 5 times since they
talk more than I talk to my wife. Yeah.
But it seems like the steam has kind of cooled off a little bit on his potential on coming to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I reported the day that he was in here for a physical and a workout that they were impressed with him, but that it was, 50-50 at best. I think I said that day. I still think it's probably 50-50, maybe slightly less than 50-50, but I just don't think you're going to get an answer till like a week before training camp when they see, like they lost Darius Slayton since then, right? So that probably improved the odds. Like maybe Darius Slayton's recovery doesn't go as well. Like there's just no reason to do it now. So like, I don't think you're going to get an answer really until the middle of July, and then either he'll sign or he doesn't. But I give credit to Harbaugh for saying what I've been saying the whole time. What I think all of us know is Odell thinks he's maybe not old Odell, but Odell thinks he's a difference maker in the NFL. I don't think that anymore. I'm not sure the Giants do anymore because John Harbaugh said, I'm pretty sure he can make a team in the NFL right now. And it's like, whoa, when has that even ever been a question?
Yeah.
And, but can he make a difference? Is it something he wants to do? So basically, I think what he's telling you, and these are my words, not John Harbaugh's, is does Odell want to be a 5th or 6th receiver in the NFL? Like, is that how he wants to finish his career, or does he just want to be done? Sterling Shepard didn't like that kind of role. And it's turned out he had more left in the tank than the Giants thought he had when he went to Tampa Bay. But the Giants kind of neutered him as the sixth receiver. He didn't love it. So it's not for everybody. And obviously Odell was a much better player in his prime than Sterling Shepard ever was. But it's not for everybody to finish their career in a role that they're not used to. Like Russell Wilson, does he want the Jets? He could go be the Jets backup quarterback. He still thinks he's a starting quarterback. So like he might not want to end his career like that.
Man, I don't know where I lie on him. I am way against I'm way off of the consensus on just do it for vibes and do it for this, do it for that. I just don't think he would fit right now.
I don't have a problem with it if he's willing. I don't know him. So I don't have a problem with it if he's willing to compete for a job and show that he has something left and be, somebody who can tell Malik Nabers, hey, look, this is kind of I was as good, if not better than you. And, then I got injured and it went away real fast. And I maybe didn't appreciate being in New York as much as I should have. I don't mind it then. But if he still thinks he's like a number 1 or 2 receiver, then I mind it. Because then he's not going to be happy with third team reps from Brandon Allen.
Right. So I had this thought kind of written down. I even think this is one of the questions that I sent you before we were going to roll. But then I find out that Theo, Scadaboo, and Dart, they were all there today at a rookie minicamp, which is kind of awesome.
They were in the building, and I believe they popped their heads out. I don't know that they didn't take in the
actively
whole 90-minute practice. Well, they popped their heads out, but I don't think they watched the whole 90-minute practice the way that Amani Toomer watched the whole 90-minute practice.
Okay. So the thing that I kind of want to ask, especially as we have high expectations for Jaxson Dart, year 2, new system, hopefully a better team, better defense, et cetera, taking a year 2 jump. One of the things that we just loved about Eli is that Eli was the Giants. Eli lived in the building. Eli took preparation seriously, probably more than anything else that a part of his game, right? So is there any kind of insights, thoughts on kind of what Dart has been up to this offseason? Not even okay, what is he doing training-wise, but getting along with the staff, going the extra mile to meet with Matt Nagy, meet with Brian Callahan, the quarterback coach, throw routes with some of these guys, arrange these workouts, anything miscellaneous of Jaxson Dart, they could tell us, is he shaping up to be this leader that we kind of want him to be?
Yes. So I would tell you he is live hard, play hard. He is at the Kentucky Derby. He is at, whatever other New York City function with his girlfriend that he can be at. But when he's not doing those things, he's here and he is, he's calling teammates and he is, he is in here for the voluntary stuff. He is going the extra mile. I care so much less about that, Justin, than so many people, because I didn't cover most of Eli Manning's career. Right. I covered the last year or two. But no one ever in the history of the Giants was more first in, last out than Daniel Jones. And that's all anybody ever said about him is you can't work harder than him. And it was well, that's great. But on Sundays, he's only okay. So I don't really it's great to have your quarterback do all that extra stuff, but I care more about how he plays. And so it's great that they say that. You don't want to hear the opposite of oh, well, he's never here. Kadarius Toney was, you don't want that. But whether he's here 4 times a week or 5 or 2 hours or 4 doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. For everything I've heard from everybody I've asked is that he's doing everything expected of him above and beyond as the quarterback to click with the coaching staff and, try to rally his teammates as a leader.
Yeah, for sure. D-tackle room has a lot of names in it. Harbaugh just said on Saturday, thought we did a good job responding to the situation as it unfolded. Probably referencing kind of the Dexter Lawrence situation and, the overall depth chart, how it kind of was really eviscerated at a certain point.
Right.
What's your kind of evaluation on where that room is at now that the dust has settled on Dex and this overall offseason?
So I did a video with the post video team, my buddy Brandon London, who also works for the Giants. And we played upgrade, downgrade. I said I still think it's a downgrade as a room. I know that's not going to be a popular thing with the Giants, but like Dexter Lawrence at his worst is still as good or is still better than Shelby Harris and DJ Reader.
Yeah.
At his best, it's not even close. So, like, I still think the room is downgraded. I just think the Giants are going to be different. Like, I just think they're going to, you're not going to get as much interior pass rush, but you might be better against stopping the run. So, like, you should be better. You can't be worse against stopping the run. So, like, I just think they're going to be different. Like, I just think the way they play is going to be different. Like, they might not command as many double teams, so like maybe Burns will get double teamed more, so then like Carter's gonna have to step up, and like that's fine. And like Harbaugh talked today about bringing back the NASCAR package and like having Abdul Carter or Arvell Reese over the guards, like so like then Shelby Harris and DJ Reader aren't even in on those third downs. So like Dexter Lawrence obviously played like 82% of the snaps. So I think they're just going to fundamentally be different. I don't think it's necessary about like, can DJ Reader and Shelby Harris be as good as Dexter Lawrence? I just think it's like more the sum of the whole of the parts. Yeah. I think the money line from John Harbaugh today was on the defensive tackles was, I think we have the guys we need, which tells you that those are the guys he wanted and tells you more guys aren't coming, or at least more impact guys aren't coming. Like that's, he thinks they're set now at defensive tackle. So, yeah, I think they did as good as they could under less than ideal circumstances.
Yeah.
Like had Dexter Lawrence requested a trade in February, I think they might have different guys than Shelby Harris and DJ Reader, but that's not what happened.
All right, before we keep going with Ryan Dunleavy, I got to talk to you about the Fanatics Sportsbook, because of course the football season's over, but the schedule's coming out, which means there are still plenty of ways to get in on all the action all year long with the Fanatics Sportsbook. Every time you place a bet, you're earning FanCash up to 10% back on your bets, win or lose. And unlike points that expire, FanCash is the true currency of sport. You can use it on official team gear and collectibles on Fanatics.com. Your next bet or profit boost and even exclusive experiences across the world of Fanatics. Plus, Fanatics is the home of fair play injury protection. If your player goes down with an injury in the first half, your bet gets refunded. And if it's part of a parlay, that leg is voided and the rest of your parlay plays on. Bet, earn, and get more out of every game with Fanatics Sportsbook, because winning hits different here. Thank you to Fanatics Sportsbook. Now back to the show. If you had to power rank these three X factors that are like, you know, that could possibly control like how good the Giants run defense is this year, taking them from 32nd and possibly bringing them up to 16th and just being average.
Ooh, okay.
The three things on my brain that I think are the biggest X factors are Denard Wilson, and just how much of an upgrade is that over Shane Bowen, because so much of the run defense that we heard last year, at least from fans, was Shane Bowen, and not so much Jimmy's and Joe's. When I think I think pass defense, if you want to talk about a coordinator being absolutely horrible, but run defense, I think, is a little bit like, it's got to be a good amount of Jimmy's and Joe's, and how
that's how I always feel.
Damn physical you are. So there's the Denard Wilson factor of possibly bringing this run defense to an average point, right? Then you have the defensive tackle depth. Is it better than what it's been in previous years? And just the names that you can kind of point to and be like, get them on the field and not just be a disaster. Definitely. And then the third being Tremaine Edmonds and Arvell Reese as a linebacker duo on early downs, being better than what Bobby Okereke has been the last couple years. And then even stemming back, even further from that, outside of just 1 year, Blake Martinez and Tate Crowder. So those three things as X factors, how would you rank them 1 through 3 as things that could really push this Giants run defense forward to being an average unit?
So I'll start. I'd say 1 is the 2 inside linebackers. I'd say 2 is the scheme, and 3 is the depth of the defensive tackle room. That's how I would go. And so here's what I would say. I've said this on your show many times. I say it all the time. Like, to me, the sign of a good team is getting better is when you take starters and you make them backups. Like, that is how a team gets good. You don't just swap out starters for new starters and backups for new backups. You take your starters and you make them your backups. And like, that's what the Giants have done on the offensive line. Like, Evan Neal might not make this team. Josh Ezeudu might not make this team. Marcus Bowe is going to compete now as a swing tackle with JC Davis. Like, you took your Daniel Falele was a starter for the Ravens, might not, back up here. Micah McFadden was a starter, is now not a starter. Like, you took Roy Robertson Harris is probably further down the depth chart now than he was last year. So, like, you took your starters and you made them backups. You took your top backups, you made them secondary backups. So, like, that to me is a sign of a roster getting better. I think Micah McFadden was good. I think he was probably better pre-injury than Bobby Okereke over the last, 17, 18 games, but after Bobby's great season in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
So I expect Edmonds and Reese to be an upgrade over what they had with Bobby and Micah, plus Micah's still here. So I would start there. And I also think good run defense starts with having good inside linebackers, and Reese is a monster. So I think that, and I think they complement each other well. Like, I don't think Edmonds is a great block shedder. I think Reese is a good block shedder. I think Edmonds might be a little more rangy. Like, so I think that complements each other well. I think I defended Shane Bowen all last year. I think he got dealt a bad Jimmy's and Joe's hand and tried to make the best out of it. Was he perfect? Obviously not. So yes, I do think there will be some scheme stuff in there from Denard Wilson that'll, it's just be more aggressive. And then the defensive tackles. Again, I like the depth. I think the depth is better than they've had, but to me, you're still missing your first or second best player. So, like, depth is great, but like, if I told you how would Giants fans feel if I was like, the Giants just traded Malik Nabers, but they signed like 3 Alan Lazards? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you would lose your minds. So so I'm not going to get past the idea that yes, Shelby Harris and DJ Reader are good, but like, they're not Dexter Lawrence.
Right. You mentioned Arvell Reese kind of like at the top, and I have been thinking a lot about his long-term spot. And basically, like, you draft him, you don't just have a vision for 2026 for Arvell Reese. You need to have a vision for what his Giants career looks like, 2027, 2028, beyond, when you sign that second contract. So let's just take it from his perspective first before we talk about the Giants. He's drafted by the Giants. I can imagine his agents, and even Malik Nabers said, well, they have a lot of edge rushers already. They got Kayvon, they got Burns, and they got Abdul Carter. And then they come out and say, well, we're going to play you at weak side linebacker and will linebacker, right? So I can imagine from sitting in his spot, Fred Warner is the highest paid linebacker in the league, interior linebacker, $21 million. This is a
good point by you. Yeah.
Will Anderson Jr. just signed a contract for $50 million. When you're Arvell Reese and you're also his agents and the people that represent him and the people that are looking out for his best long-term interest, which I'm putting long-term interest in quotes, just saying money, get the most money, right? You are going to be getting way more money. I don't even care if you reset the market 4 years from now. You're going to be getting way more money as the 10th paid edge rusher in the NFL, as the 15th paid edge rusher in the NFL, than even the top interior linebacker in the NFL. That is also going to be the case even 4 years from now. So, like, there probably will come a time, Ryan, where, like, I think Arvell Reese 2 years from now, I think he's going to be an edge rusher. And I think he is probably going to force the Giants' hand. He's going to force the Giants' hand by either just saying that he wants to do it, or hopefully he's just a really kick-ass edge rusher and it's like, you have to put me here because you have no other choice.
That's what Micah Parsons did.
Yes.
So if Arvell Reese is even thinking about any of this, then the Giants have a problem because, like, he can't think about this now. He's got to learn the playbook. They have control of him for 6 years. So it doesn't matter what he wants for 6 years. That's just the way the NFL monopoly works. So yes, I agree with everything you said, like, for his financial interest, and maybe it's on his agent's mind and whatever. I totally agree with you, but so much changes between now and then. Like, in 2 years, Kayvon might not be here. Burns, probably still will be here. Maybe Abdul Carter is, not here. Maybe he's forced to trade. Look, who would have said Micah Parsons would ever?
I definitely want to recognize that I'm jumping
way ahead.
I'm jumping the gun. Right. But like I said, I feel like as a team,
make sense. Yeah,
as a team to have a vision for how you see a player and like, are you just going to slide this player from I don't think that's going to be the case.
I'll say this. I think it applies to both top 10 picks. Play them where you need them as rookies. If they're great for the team's sake, great. Like if you get Devin White or whatever was the number 5 pick, right? Devin White. Yeah, he was the number 5 pick. He was great for the Bucks for 10 years. If Arvell Reese is great, if he's Devin White, if he makes Pro Bowls, then you leave him there and great. And you figure out edge rusher, how to replace Kayvon and whatever else happens at edge rusher down the road. You don't mess with it. And if he's just good and he looks better on third downs as an edge rusher, then you make him an edge rusher. Same for CeCe. If he's an all-pro guard in 2026 or 2027, then you don't mess with that. And if he's just an okay guard, well, when Jermaine Illuminor is out of here and after 2027 or 2028, then you make him your right tackle and you say, okay, go back to it. Like you don't only have to move guys because they're Evan Neal disasters. Like you can move guys to like maximize their potential and not just salvage them. So like if they're great, you keep them. And if they're just good, then you say, okay, well, circumstances have changed. Didn't the Browns just move or like at one point, the Buccaneers had Tristan Wirfs as an all-pro right tackle, and then they moved him to left tackle, and he became an all-pro left tackle.
And he just didn't miss a beat. Because sometimes guys are that good where, you know what, they don't miss a beat.
Yeah. So, like, maybe you do that, or you just don't, or you say, we have our best guard since Chris Nee. We'll figure out right tackle in 2028. I would say it all makes sense.
Tyler Smith is a good example of that, too. Tyler Smith with the Cowboys is a good example of that.
I would say it all makes sense from a future standpoint, but let's see if they're good players first.
Yeah, for sure.
If we could have had this debate in 2022 about what if Evan Neal's a superstar right tackle? Do you move him to left tackle, or what if he's only okay? Then do we move him to right guard? Well, it turns out he's not even okay. So, you know what I mean? So let's see if they're good players first.
Yeah. Or one of the best tidbits you gave on the show was talking about you put Cordell Flott in the slot in our brains. I think this was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Where nobody was thinking about Cordell Flott, the slot experiment didn't work. Now he's just going to go back to the outside. And you were like, oh wait, he may line up inside. And I think this is maybe 2024 Trey Hawkins rookie year. I don't know. You gave like a really good tidbit that nobody was thinking about. So now I'm bringing you back to the secondary room in the DB room, where I feel like a lot of us were kind of just thinking as Colton Hood comes in, all right, it's going to be 3 guys are competing for 2 spots on the outside, right? Where you have Paulson Adebo, big money guy, he's probably going to be the starter, but then you have Greg Newsome, 1-year deal versus the 21-year-old Colton Hood. But then, I had the He's a Giant guys on, Monty and Sal. They start bringing up, hey, you never know. Like Greg Newsome, wide range of experience in the slot, and who knows? Like I don't think they would, but a rookie Colton Hood has never played in the NFL before. Maybe the Giants have a vision like you want that physicality in the slot. I don't know. Probably not.
I strongly believe he'll be on the outside.
But then you get to thinking of a guy like Greg Newsome, like gun to your head, is Greg Newsome a better football player than Drew Phillips? Like I think there's a case that that Greg Newsome has put on some better tape and some better NFL production than Drew Phillips so far. So I'm now wondering, how is this secondary going to kind of shake out and unfold?
I think that's a possibility. That'll be something to watch in OTAs if Newsome ever slides inside. I remember we asked him when he signed here, and he said he thinks he's the best on the outside. Yeah. Again, that might be a business decision because outside guys get paid more than inside guys. But he did say he likes playing inside as well. He could do it all. Depends on what the scheme is or the particular game. So he sounded open to it. I do think Phillips will be a Harbaugh kind of guy because he is physical in the slot. So he's not going to like Drew Phillips' penalty ratio, but he will like the way Drew Phillips attacks the run. I don't know enough about Greg Newsome to know how he is as a run defender in the slot, so I'll have to learn more about that. I do think that's a possibility. I mean, they brought our Darius Washington from the Ravens too, so I wouldn't rule that out as a possibility in the slot. Yeah, I do think I am thinking of it like you're thinking of it, as like 3 guys for 2 in the slot. I do kind of think Colton Hood will win that job. So I do think Greg Newsome then becomes kind of a chess piece. And I wouldn't be surprised. Look, Drew Phillips got benched by the last staff at the end of last season. So,
which is crazy.
Yeah. So it's certainly not like his job is set in stone. So I'm sure Greg Newsome would rather be on the field than not. So if they said to him, hey, go play some slot, I think he'd be up for it.
I think Ardarius Washington is the biggest X factor. Kind of, you mentioned like, okay, we maybe could go in the slot, but then also I'm thinking like when he's out there on the field and the year that he was healthy, like it was really, really good stuff. And like it was like top 15, top safety play in the NFL. He has not been healthy, which has been the key. And we're talking about, Tyler Nubin, which this coaching staff doesn't have any ties to, and a guy that went from being a physical tackler, a guy that you could put in the box, and then even last year took some bad angles, and now we don't know what Tyler Nubin's role is. We're kind of putting him in the box because where else does he kind of fit at this point? That's kind of like the rumblings this offseason. So I think Ardarius Washington is like the biggest X factor this offseason for two different areas.
That's a good point. Like I expect him to be in the Dane Belton role, but maybe he ends up with a bigger role than the Dane Belton role. Somebody had put that idea in my head late last season that Tyler Nubin's future could be at weak side linebacker. And obviously that's not going to happen now because Arvell Reese is the weak side linebacker. So when they did pick him, one of my thoughts was like, I wonder how that affects Tyler Nubin. I wonder if that, because he's obviously not fast enough to play catch up as a safety in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So his strength is physicality and being in the box. So, I don't know. I think that Ardarius Washington, I would agree. X factor, whatever, wild card is probably how I would put it.
Wild card. Yeah.
I don't know exactly where they're going to slot him in. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see if he gets any first team safety reps, because safety is the area where the 2 starters are back and they did not perform very well. And Harbaugh is used to having dynamic safeties. So we'll see what he expects out of that group.
What's the perception around both the trade up for Malachi Fields and then the player Malachi Fields is? Because I think there's a lot of people who feel a certain type of way, and I'm one of those people, about contested / spectacular catch guys and those types of players. And obviously there's a thinking with Fields' game where he's going to be a valuable blocker and do some of these other intangible stuff. But at the end of the day, you're judged by catches, yards, touchdowns, and your ability to get open. So what's kind of like the perception around him from people that maybe you've talked to?
Talking about around the NFL?
Yeah.
Perception around the NFL is the Giants gave up a little bit more than they probably should have for a 3rd round pick. And you don't want to trade 2027 draft picks. I push back when people text me that, because like, to me, the 2027 draft class is great because of the 1st round talent and the quarterback talent. Nobody to me is like, the 133rd pick of the 27 draft is so much better than the 133rd pick of the 2026 draft. Like, giving up a 4th round pick in 2027, I'm going to have a hard time believing it's that much different than a 4th round pick in 2026. Like, no one is telling you the top 150 are so much better than the other top 150. That's not what the 2027 draft class is about. You don't want to give up 1st round picks or even top 50 picks in the 2027 draft. So I'm not losing sleep over that. The idea that they did give up a lot is the consensus around the NFL. The idea that he might be a little bit of a one-trick pony is something in the NFL, but Harbaugh sure enough today. Did you see all those slot routes that Malachi Fields was running?
Okay.
Which is like either ironic or intended messaging by him to say, look, this guy has more of a route tree than maybe you've seen. There were mock drafts from people who I respect, Daniel Jeremiah, whoever, had him like borderline 1st round after maybe it was Bucky, or Bucky Brooks. One of those guys had him 1st round after the Senior Bowl. He was that good. And scouts I know who were at the Senior Bowl said He was that good at the Senior Bowl. And then he
That was
didn't have a
one of
good
them.
he didn't have a good combine. He didn't have a good combine. Okay. So like, but again, he's a Harbaugh type receiver because he's physical and he run blocks. And I think that is kind of the perception around the NFL is like he fits Harbaugh. They maybe gave up a little too much. But he has a kind of a one-dimensional skill set, but the Giants would I know the Giants would counteract that belief. They believe dig farther than the tape, and he is more of a well-rounded receiver.
So he went out of his way to say that he was like in the slot today, and did you see him in the slot?
I believe he did. I'll pull up the transcript. I'll search the transcript for the word slot today.
Yeah, because I mean that's significant. You know, the guy Juwan Jennings just signed with the Vikings, and like man, like he's a bigger guy, more physical guy. I mean, a tone setter as a blocker really changed that 49ers rushing offense when it comes to being a blocker, and became like a weapon inside the red zone and things like that. So. Like if you're talking about if Fields can hit that kind of ceiling,
I said the wrong thing. I said did I say slot? I meant slants. So
you got me and a lot of other people excited.
Yes, I said the wrong thing. I said slots. I meant slants. But my point was people are telling you he's a contested catch, downfield, jump ball kind of guy.
Yeah.
But my point was Harbaugh went out of his way. I said slot. I meant slant. But. Yeah, Harbaugh went out of his way to say, "Did you see him on all the slants today?" And that's why I think I even said, trying to show you that he could do the full route tree. I said slot, I meant slant.
But that's honestly like if he does go in the slot, I think that is a path for Malachi Fields to play.
Yeah,
would be like go to that spot that Isaiah Likely is going to be in the slot when they flank him out.
I don't think he's going to have a lot of slot opportunities with Malachi Fields, with Calvin Austin, with Nabers when he's healthy, likes to be in the slot sometimes.
Yeah, he's going in the slot.
Isaiah Likely, I don't think he's going to get a lot of
really?
I said slots, I meant slants. I meant expanded route tree. Here's what Malachi had a bunch of plays. Did you see him on all the slants today? He made every catch yesterday. Made a high catch over the top of the corner one time. But he went out of his way to say, "Did you guys see him on all the slants today?" Which I think was his way of saying more than I don't know him well. I know I could read what Daboll was trying to do. I don't know Harbaugh well enough yet, but I would think that was his way of saying, "See, guys, this is not just a vertical guy."
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break because I got to talk to you about Hims. Today's episode is sponsored by Hims. ED is more common than you think and easier to treat than ever. Through Hims, you can connect online with the licensed healthcare provider to access legitimate ED treatment options discreetly and on your terms. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hims connects you with licensed providers from home with 100% online access and a simple intake process that helps determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. That includes sildenafil, also known as generic for Viagra, available through Hims at up to 95% less than the brand name version. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/giants. That's hims.com/giants for your free online visit. Hims.com/giants. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark for Viatris Specialty LLC, a Viatris company. Hims Incorporated is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris Specialty LLC. Now back to the show. Are you looking forward to having a coach that's actually going to say something? Because he even did it with Odell. I thought that was a really good answer with Odell. It was a really good answer with Nabers after the draft.
Everything's a good answer. It was like you ask about one guy and it's not like, well, all the guys are working out. Well, I didn't ask about all the guys. I asked about this guy. So like he said, Mauanoa looked like a natural at guard. He said Arvell Reese didn't blow a single assignment in 2 days. Like that's not like just that you're not giving away state secrets. Those are just like real answers that media and fans care about.
Yeah.
Like Colton Hood made that play I talked about earlier where he ripped the ball away. And, it wasn't like, oh, yeah, well, everybody made good plays. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's trying. No, Harbaugh was like, did you see that play? And it was like, yeah, we saw that play. That's the only play we did see. So Yeah, no, I am very much looking forward to a coach who offers actual insights.
I know there's Joe Shane fatigue, like just of talking about him and wondering what's going to happen with him. But I mean, I will say this was like pretty significant to me. I think basically they announced without announcing it that he's staying by this media tour that he did.
Yes,
you're not putting him on NFL
Correct.
Network. You're not putting him on
Correct.
this show, that show. If that's a guy that you're playing, so I think
Correct.
that was like their subtle way of saying this guy is here. And I also want to ask you this: you asked Brandon Brown about the scouting department staying together post draft. So do you think that we're at the point that we would be notified of any like big significant changes? And how shocked are you by, at least as of now, that there are minimal changes to the front office and scouting department?
Okay. So couple questions. You asked a couple questions there.
Yeah.
Super shocked. Like super shocked. When he came in and he, brought in, and they made tweaks to Kevin Abrams not being here and tweaks to Ronnie Barnes's role. I thought everybody was going to get big-footed at after the draft. So super shocked. Are we at that point? I think we are. It's usually within two. Like I think Chris Pettit was let go within a couple weeks, and whenever we've seen scout changes, they're within the first 2 weeks after the draft. We've seen it this year with the Eagles made a big change.
Yeah.
I know some teams have let go of some other area scouts that I know.
Vikings they're hiring a GM right now. So
yeah. So it's just natural course of business is when you have a regime change, they do that. So super surprised. I do think we're at the point where most people are safe. I asked Brandon Brown about it. He said it's a sign of how well they all, put egos aside and work together as a team. Would I be surprised if they added a position? Like, no, I wouldn't. If John Harbaugh wanted one of his own guys in that mix and they, created a national scout position or assistant director of player personnel or co-assistant director of player personnel, no, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't think any of the scouts or scouting executives are going to be forced out.
Yeah, they technically don't even have I know this is just a title, but they technically don't even have a head of college scouting.
Correct. They don't have a direct. Yeah, that was that was Chris Pettit, I think. So,
yeah, I guess technically that is. I would say that's Dennis Hickey. I would say out of all people, but
yes, it's Dennis Hickey. Yes,
yeah.
That's who it is. But again, they could put somebody under Dennis Hickey who's a Harbaugh guy. So.
Yeah. Joe Shane extension. Do you see that coming?
I mean, we talk about that a lot in the media. Like, I don't know.
I know.
Like, I don't like, I don't think, I never thought his job.
Careful. You're in the Giants media room. Careful what you say.
Yeah. Is that a bug up there? No. I never thought that he was, once they kept him and Harbaugh hired, I never thought he was going to be fired. I know people did. I never thought he was going to be fired after the draft. I know the Jets did that with Mike McCagnon.
Yep.
And was it the Bills who did that before Bean got there? I think it was the Bills who did that with Doug Whaley, maybe. I don't think that's any way to do business, to have your general manager basically assemble this year's team and then when it's time for him to get out of the way, fire him. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know that he'll be safe in January, but I never thought his job was in jeopardy in May. I still don't think it. I think, like you said, they kind of told you that it was that he's staying here. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a 1-year extension, so he's not to just end this. What's happening to Joe Shane? He's on his contract. Wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a 1-year extension. Some people I've said that to are like, well, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, just to end the question.
He's even talked about it before too. It doesn't really matter how many years you get. I mean, you can have 3 years left on your deal. Teams are going to fire you if they want to fire you. So
correct. So is it possible they could give him 1 year just so we stop asking about it? I guess that's possible. Or they could just let him go because Like, I mean, they could just let him play out the year. I mean, they could do that. I mean, the Cowboys did that with their head coach, Mike McCarthy, and Jason Garrett, I think, too. So they just let them expire, basically. So you could certainly do it with the GM if you could do it with a head coach.
Yeah.
So I would say more likely that I think he either gets nothing or gets a year than I think he gets 4 years, because let's call this what it is, Justin. If they go 6-11, somebody's going to need to be scapegoated, and it's him.
Yep. 100%.
Whether it's his fault or not, he'll be the guy who takes the blame for a 6-11.
100%. Should we be more worried about Malik Nabers than maybe we are right now?
I mean, if you've asked me, I've told you I don't believe for a second the idea that he's going to be ready for training camp, the start of training camp. Like, I'm not sure.
I've removed that from my brain. I'm now thinking about week 1.
Yes, week 1, I would say, is up in the air. Like, I know that the Giants internally have preached optimism to everybody, both on the record and off. Malik Nabers didn't do a whole lot of practicing last offseason with toe injuries and back injuries. Yeah. I'm not sure he's going to do a whole lot of practicing off an ACL. So I just don't know that we'll have an idea until, like, I could give you an answer on May 9th, but I'm just guessing. Like, we're just not going to have an idea until we see what he's doing on August 15th, how ready he is for week 1. Like, I certainly wouldn't bet on it if I was a betting man that he's there for week 1. I certainly wouldn't do that. But I would bet on he's not going to do much before middle of August.
Yeah, that's a good thought too, because you mentioned didn't practice, didn't really do all that much last summer, and then he goes out there and he tears up his stuff, and that's like, oh crap! And now we're going to come back this summer where we're recovering from that. We're not going to do all that much, and then we're just going to come back on the field in September. I can imagine.
One thing I will say is I hear he's taking his rehab very seriously.
Okay.
The one thing I'll say is I hear that. Yeah. So, because I've asked that, because like. And this is not a knock on Malik Nabers, but when you have a guy who's never really been hurt before and had a lot of success, you wonder if they're just like, oh, I'm a freak athlete, I'll be great.
Yeah.
I don't need to take the rehab that seriously. My body's superhuman, and I hear he's taking it seriously.
But then even like effort aside, which that's great to hear, even like effort aside, there's a difference between, I think, rehabbing and kind of like getting your body ready to play and get nailed. You know what I mean?
Correct. Correct.
So I can imagine
when we talked to him at the end of the season, Baggy Day, he certainly wasn't like committed to playing week 1. He's like, when I feel ready, I'll play. He was talking about business decisions earlier. Like, he was like, when I'm ready to be Malik Nabers is when I'll be back on the field.
All right. Well, we did it with AT last year, being patient. We're going to have to probably do it again. So, and I'm cool with that. I'd rather have Malik Nabers in December than just.
Correct. I think that worked out with Andrew Thomas. You got 14 games of a very good Andrew Thomas. So
yeah. I have one more for you, and then I'm asking this at the end because you may have no clue. But I figured if you
know me, I always, when I have no clue, I say I have no clue.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking this.
When I do have a clue, and people tell me I don't have a clue.
That's why I'm asking this at the end. You know, especially you're in the building today. You're back in the building, and you know they're not having training camp in New Jersey, so they're going to West Virginia for the World Cup. But also, like, are there any updates on facilities that are being updated? I know that was one thing that Harbaugh said that he was going to kind of.
They're doing the locker. They're doing the locker room. They're doing the cafeteria, locker room, cafeteria. I believe they're going to end up with a player's lounge out of all this, which is something they don't have that other teams do have, which really is just a nice way for them to be able to relax and not have to see the media. So that's really what a player's lounge is. It's like, if you're in the locker room when we're in there, then we go up to you. So if you don't want to talk to us, you can't be in the locker room. So you have to find somewhere else to go. So now you have a player's lounge where we can't go. So you can be in the locker room without having to talk to us. So so that's what the Yankees use their player lounge for.
Yeah.
So So that is the facilities will be, much nicer. It's very hard to walk through this building right now because of all that work.
All right, cool. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. 45 minutes on the dot. How do you like that?
I like it. My wife will like it, so I can go lose money on carnival games. So.
And I'm gonna go down to a casino floor and lose some money. So
hopefully you lose more than I lose.
Oh, sheesh.
I mean, I would think playing blackjack or whatever you're about to do better be more costly than whatever, throw a dart at a balloon game that I'm going to go give my set.
Hey, I don't envy you because let's throw a dart and let's throw a ring at an empty bottle. Okay, that'll be $12, please.
Yes, exactly. Well, last year my son made the basketball, made the one where you shoot the basketball on the very tight rim. He made it. He was very, very excited.
I've never seen anybody make that ever.
He made it. He's only 7 and he made it.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah,
all right, Ryan Dunleavy, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna have a funnel cake.
All right, that's gonna do it. Thank you to Ryan Dunleavy for coming on the show. So this week is going to be a little different because they are dropping the schedule. It's going to be dropped on Thursday. Thought maybe originally it was going to be Wednesday. Thank God. I think Aaron Rodgers made some sort of decision, and that was holding everybody hostage. They're going to be dropping the schedule on Thursday. So we are not going to have an episode out Thursday morning, but what I think Sean and I are going to do for the schedules, we are going to live stream Thursday evening. So then we'll have an episode out on Friday. But if you want to be on YouTube with us, come hang out and come get excited about the Giants schedule Thursday evening, afternoon-ish. I think that's what Sean and I are going to do. Depending on when we get the schedule, that's when you're going to see us, and we're going to go live, and we're going to get excited. And it's probably just going to be a kind of let your hair down episode. Get excited for this season. I'm going to Dover Motor Speedway this weekend. I'm going 2 weekends in a row. I'm going to NASCAR races, and I'm plenty excited for it. It'll be my first big breath of the offseason. I'm excited for it. I hope to see you on Thursday when we talk about the Giants schedule and we get excited because we're going to win some damn football games. Let's go, Giants, and we'll see you on Thursday night.